I'm Tommy D from TheKnicksBlog.com. We're going to be talking NBA playoffs with our good friend Andrew Smith, who joins us on the phone. Andrew, how goes it?
Not bad. What's going on?
Let's talk about what happened, and we got a chance to talk about this a little bit before we went on the air. The development of Roy Hibbert really, I mean, forget about Chris Bosh for a second. The development of Roy Hibbert is really a big factor in why the Pacers are up 2-1 in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's been a surprise to me, certainly I think around the league. When you watch him run up and down the court, I cringe. I expect him to kind of like crack, but he's been unbelievable. We talked about the draft with him and Hasheem Thabeet, with obviously Thabeet going high, but he's really been a surprise, and he's a big reason why they're up 2-1.
You bring up Thabeet, and from a development standpoint, I like this point. It's about footwork. When Hibbert first came in the league, he had cement feet. There's no question about it. What the Pacers have been able to do, almost in a similar way that they did with Rick Smits, was really allow him to be able to play at an NBA pace very quickly by developing pretty good footwork. And, his hands were always very good. I think that's the biggest difference between him and Thabeet, but you've got to be very impressed with what the Pacers have been able to do with Hibbert.
Sure. And the other thing you see, and Alan Hahn mentioned this, and it's a big difference in why they're up and the Knicks struggle with Miami, is if the interior toughness. As strong as LeBron and Wade are, they don't like getting fouled hard. And you saw Wade, he obviously struggled a ton last night, but he stopped going to the rim. And a big reason is that when he would drive and LeBron drives, Hibbert and Granger and West are not only fouling you, but they're fouling you hard. And they're playing very, very physical. And they're not backing down. And it's proven that Miami needs to really step it up. I don't think they were expecting this from Indiana.
And we said it before, I think this is a great point. They play every possession, every 24 seconds is like a game to them. And you make a great point about the physicality with Danny Granger, LeBron's second game in a row, he decides he wants to start throwing elbows. That's fake toughness. And if the Pacers can continue to do what they're doing in terms of possession by possession, they will be in a really good position to win this series. Do you think they can close out the Heat and actually win the series?
I do. Obviously the loss of Bosh is big, but to me, and it's not only because of his ability, to me it's just the lack of depth. And you see Indiana being able to go 8 or 9 guys deep and not really miss a beat. And when Miami sits LeBron or Wade, and you see one of them, they can be double teamed. And you saw it with Carmelo with the Knicks. The way Miller and Battier are playing, it's not working for Miami, and they really needed all three to be able to win the series. I could definitely see Indiana winning Game 4 and then closing it out in 6 or 7.
Pacers battle tested last year playing the Bulls. Let's move over to the Western Conference. The other game last night, Spurs and Clippers. Chris Paul is playing awful, and Mike D'Antoni is certainly smiling somewhere as the Spurs are clearly running his offense and running it incredibly well. Yeah,
the Spurs really run an offensive clinic every night. It's a high screen and shooters, and when you have that with a quick point guard that makes good decisions, it's impossible to defend, as we've seen when you have the right personnel. And the Spurs have it. They can really run. They got 12, 13 guys on their roster that are NBA starters, and you're setting a screen with Duncan or Splitter, and you have Green and Leonard and Jackson ready to shoot. It's impossible to defend, and they're proving that they might be the team to beat.
And what I like about what they do is that what the Knicks didn't do was, with D'Antoni here, they're a better defensive club. Certainly having Tim Duncan versus an Amari Stoudemire helps as being your screener. But when you take a guy like Danny Green, and this is an important thing for the Knicks moving forward, Danny Green was a second-round pick, a guy who you and I really, really liked coming out of North Carolina. The Knicks are going to have to be able to find guys like Danny Green that fit into some sort of system, whatever that system is going to be, to allow themselves to improve their roster and make moves moving forward.
Yeah, you look at there's a couple guys in the playoffs that have stood out to me, and it's Danny Green and Cephalosha on Oklahoma. In that, the reputation they have is that they're not as skilled offensively. They're good defenders, and they're nice role players on a team. But one thing you see is that when they catch the ball and they're open, they make shots. And it sounds really simple, but it's the difference of 10, 15 points a game. And the Knicks didn't have that. Landry Fields, obviously, and other guys would catch and miss. And Brick, not even be close. And, you're seeing a lot from those guys. Cephalosha is funny because people always say he's an offensive liability, but when they leave him open and then he makes a shot.
Tremendous spot shooter. The Thunder and Spurs both up 2-0, looking to be on a collision course. We'll talk about that moving forward. But, Andrew, lastly, What's the biggest surprise to you thus far in these 2012 playoffs?
It's Boston. You know, every year they get counted out because of their regular season struggles, but you just can't. And right now, Kevin Garnett, and it's amazing that people in the media have discounted him, including, you know, myself included. The guy's been unbelievable. He's been, to me, the best player in the league this entire postseason. And we talked about the Spurs putting on a clinic offensively. Boston certainly did against a really good defensive team in Philadelphia. They walked in there and just blew them out. And, you know, it's just that veteran leadership and composure that they have that other teams don't that separates them.
Plenty to talk about moving forward here in the playoffs. Andrew, looking forward to talking once again very, very soon. Have a great weekend. Thanks always for the knowledge.
You too, guys. Thanks.
And remember to get all your information on the 2012 NBA playoffs. Check out thenixblog.com, part of the SNY.TV blog network. I'm Tommy D. Have a great weekend.